Great. All right. And next, I think what we need to do is I need to share my screen. Let's see. All right. I take it that everyone can see a slide right here.
Yes, I
Okay,
can see.
great. All right. Before I get started, we're going to get to some housekeeping things before we run through these slides, but I want to see if we can have a two things, a timer to keep us on track, and a presenter for the end of the session. The presenter will kind of give some bullet points of what we discussed today. Any volunteers?
Sure, I can serve. I'm sorry, let me see who I am. Okay, I can serve as the timer.
Is that Danielle?
Danielle, yes. Do I need to like share the screen, the timer screen, or should I do it on my phone?
No, you can just do it on the phone.
Okay,
I was told that we wanted to do, we have about 40 minutes, but
okay,
if you can just let us know when it's like maybe 25 or 30, 25 and 30, like that, that
okay,
would be great.
okay,
And then
okay.
that'll
Yeah.
give us some discussion time to wrap up.
Okay, you want me to chat, type that in like 30, like 20
Yeah,
minutes? Okay, okay, I can do that.
that's
Okay,
right. And you can even be verbal and say, John, we're at 30 minutes. That'll be fine.
okay, thank you. All right.
Thank you so much for keeping me on track.
Yes.
Okay. And let's see, what else do we have? Do we have a presenter, someone that can basically let the group know what we discussed? Anyone? All
I'll
right. Well,
volunteer. I'm Latrice Robinson from Smart Talk. I'll volunteer.
Latrice.
You're
All right. Thank you, Latrice. So Danielle,
welcome.
timer. Thank you, Latrice.
You're welcome.
And I will tell you this, the group will be gentle with you when you go back to the main group and you present. They will highlight you. You'll just give some bullet points and some main things that we talked about, and everybody will give you a standing ovation.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say that up front. All right. Now, folks, I think we are good to go. Everyone can see these slides over here. It starts with treasurer. And I'm just going to kind of run through these uh, quickly to just let you know kind of a guideline. But I also want to let you know a lot of this is a group discussion. I want to hear from you. I want to hear how your club does it. I want to hear if you're, new to the role, all of that stuff. So this is interactive. All right. So we're talking about the treasurer role, and we'll talk about the responsibilities, and we'll try to throw out some resources for you. All right. And that is not a picture of me, so you probably knew that. All right. On our responsibilities, um, break it into three sections. Okay. All right. We have the club meeting. the club meeting. We have outside the club meeting, and this is an important one, the executive committee. All right, now I want to ask, just throw this out there. The first question is, how many are in this treasury role, the treasurer role for the first time? Any newbies?
Yes.
Who was that?
Dexter Monk. I'm new. Alpha 289.
Okay. All right.
This is Jennifer Shoemaker, and it's my first time as well.
Okay.
And I'm Vanna Zavala. It's my first time serving in the role of secretary.
Okay.
Elizabeth
Excuse
P.
me,
M. Lewis.
treasurer.
Elizabeth P. M. Lewis. This is my first time.
Okay. I'm counting about 4, maybe 5. All right, that's great. Now I want you guys to ask questions, stop me, what have you, because we want you to feel comfortable in what you're doing. All right. Now, as I said, just think of this, there's 3 parts to it. There's things that you need to do and be prepared for at the club meeting, as I mentioned, outside the club meeting, and the executive committee. That one is big because the executive committee, those are the people that kind of need to know how much money we have in a club or who's paid and those type questions. And that's where you come in. So if you were giving or reporting to a group, I would say that one would be the most important because they're going to make the decisions. You know that you have to prepare before the club meeting, and this is just basic stuff where you want to be ahead of the game. So we're going to talk about financial systems. We're going to touch on that, and what different clubs use and what you may have used from your predecessor, may have passed down. And we're going to talk about what you're going to do at the club meeting, some of the questions you might get. Outside the club meeting, some things you should do, such as make sure if you got a bank account or a PayPal account or a whatever it might be. We're going to talk about those. I want to hear from you guys on that. So let's stop right there. No, we got about 4 or 5 new folks. Tell me, what do you guys do use to track the money? Let's just start right there. Anyone?
Hey, my name is Lonnie Johnson, and I'm
Yes.
new to the role of treasurer.
Mm-hmm.
We actually use a company credit card to pay for our employees, our members who are participating in the club. So we don't collect funds from the members. The company sponsors the program for us.
That was my next question. Are you sponsored or not?
Yes.
Yeah, and so you are sponsored. So your job is going to be kind of fun.
It's fairly easy for sure.
Yep.
We do have the first term, so the first initial 6 months, the company sponsors, and then the second 6 months of the program, the members we pay ourselves. So you can either elect to do self-pay, or we will pay with a company credit card, and you can pay through payroll deductions. So we
Right.
kind of make it flexible as possible for the members.
Absolutely. Do we have any other sponsored clubs? Anybody else?
Hi, my name is Shandell Sullivan.
Yes. How are you?
Our club is sponsored, but it's also open. I'm with the Carter Center Club. So if you're a Carter Center employee, the Carter Center sponsors you
Yes.
for professional development, but we're also open to others outside the Carter Center.
Is that Jimmy Carter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
We
Check.
do
No, go right on.
We not only collect the International Toastmasters dues, but we also collect club dues.
Yes.
Mhm.
And we use PayPal, and we also have a bank account
Okay, great.
with a debit card.
All right. Shandel,
Yes,
good to see you again.
you
All right.
too, Jen.
All right. So the reason I asked about clubs, sponsored clubs, because as you know, they could be a credit card, as we heard, that they're sponsored. So it's that Treasury Road's kind of fun because the funds are there. Other clubs may have to collect from their members. And what's interesting when you're collecting, what are the two things that you normally are collecting? Anybody?
National dues and local dues.
There you go.
Both.
Toastmaster TI dues, because you may be collecting those to pay TI, and then your club dues. Now, there's such a thing as self-pay, where some clubs may have it set up where individuals go on to Toastmaster International and pay their $60 directly. Then you still have to collect your club dues. Some clubs don't collect club dues, right? No, they either don't have a need because they're sponsored, or they just haven't gotten to the point where they want to, do that and be responsible for that. They may not have any designated things. I can speak to my club. We collect club dues because we have a propensity to go out for appetizers. That has been our thing. We go out maybe here a couple times a quarter or something, and we find the best restaurant and who has the good appetizers, and we sit there and have those for the table. But that's us. There are other clubs that charge hundreds of dollars. There's some clubs that don't charge it. So you got it all over the place. Anybody else? Knowing that we have those two things is everybody collecting those, or is just
I have a
you
question.
have yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I Alpha 289 again. Yeah, we do local dues as well as the international dues, and
Yes.
we have self-pay activated, and most of our
Mhm.
folks, of course, use self-pay, but a couple of people come in and they send me the money, and I, as a treasurer, will pay using a debit card to
Yeah.
Toastmaster International. But my question was going to be, a lot of times the folks that do self-pay forget to pay the local dues. And I was wondering if there's some historical way you can remind them and keep up with it, because I'm new. This is my first month, and I'm trying to figure out how to keep a track of the people who actually don't pay local dues and gently remind them to do that.
Dexter Monk, I'm writing your name down. I'm glad you brought that up. Typical thing, how my club would do it. Got the $60, right? $60 for the TI.
Right.
Our club would do for the same 6 months about $24. So $84. We get that in, treasurer would pay these, take the 84, 60 of it would go to pay for the TI renewal. Now you got $24. They pay directly. If they paid directly, now you're trying to say, how can I get that 20, in our case, that $24?
Right.
We remind them a couple of ways. You can send emails. There is, with free Toast hosts, there's a way to send out billing notices in free Toast hosts. You can send an invoice It's pretty snazzy, but you can send out an invoice and that gets it to them officially. And so then, they can pay the invoice and then you can track it from there. Okay. Great question though, because when they did the self-pay, then what happened was people still can keep their membership. They can get access to the website, they can get access to the pathways and all of that. But then it left the club to have to figure out, how am I going to collect that? But there's a way. Free Toast host, I wrote your name down because we have our club treasurer that does that very efficiently. I need to get you in touch with them or anyone else that needs to know. Definitely reach out to me.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
Can the rest of us share? I mean, I've had my hand up for a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. This is Rosa.
Yes.
Sorry. My apologies.
First thing I would like, because I've been a treasurer a couple of times, I'd like to say that when they went to self-pay, that was the easiest thing to do. What we do, and I direct the members in the club, I step them through the self-pay process. We do charge club dues because we have to pay for Zoom and other expenses. And I use Zelle. I help have everyone set them up on Zelle so that once the club dues, the TMI dues are paid, we keep that separate and use Zelle to pay their club dues. We also charge a grammarian fee for each infraction at a meeting. We charge a nickel. And that goes into the treasury as well. And it helps everyone to stay on track with their words. And they use Zelle and they make their payments. So we keep it very, very simple. I use the monthly report and I expand that to include the club dues and any grammarian fees that are owed. And everyone just continue, and we use Zelle and they love it because it's all electronic and it goes to the bank.
Yes. Thank you very much. When it is electronic, Rosa, you will agree, it's a lot easier, correct?
Absolutely.
It has been my experience in different trainings. I've heard from clubs that have a ledger. They literally have a ledger, a paper ledger, and they write down each thing, money in and money out. I've also seen where they have a spreadsheet as a system, right? My particular club uses something called Clear Checkbook. Clear Checkbook. It's an online register. It allows you to attach images and receipts, make memos, basically tracking everything like you would in your checkbook, but it's electronic. It allows you to do a budget, which brings us to the next thing. So I wanted to go with that.
Excuse me, Gary, John.
Yes.
Is that free? Is that a free app or is that a paid app? This Clear Checkbook.
Clear Checkbook, yes. So there's a free version, which we had used for years, and that allows you to just track money in and money out, and you can get by with that and put a message there. There is a paid version. The paid version is $52 a year. So basically $1 a week. And that $52 a year allows you to do a few more things. It allows you to do some things with splitting transactions. For instance, I gave you the scenario of $84 in and $60 out to TI. it allows you to do that seamlessly. So you can say person X paid in $84, and then you can split to say what that's for. So when our club needs to know how many people paid club dues, you hit the query, and all of the people who paid, even if they paid as a part of their $84, it breaks it out for them. It's pretty smooth. But that's Clear Checkbook. You guys reach out to me. I will definitely share that with you. But you can look it up. Great tool.
Thank
Anybody
you,
else
Jennifer.
have any tools? Go ahead.
I said, thank you. Jennifer posted it in the chat as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. Jen on top. Just saying. That's my girl. All right. How many prepare a budget? Some of you are new to the role. Everyone, you do, Dexter? Okay.
I'm going to do it. I've got it pretty much worked out. Yes.
Okay, great. What are some of the things, if you don't mind, what are some of the things in your budget?
Well, actually, our budget is pretty simple right now. Of course, the income is dues,
Yeah.
dues paid, and the Zoom subscription, and we're going to do some awards that we do throughout the year for various things. And I got to get with my president. There's some other little activities that they're going to plan, but I don't have any specifics right now because I haven't actually completed it. But I've been talking to them about, because I'm new, what should be in the budget, and those are kind of things that
Yes.
they've told me. You know,
I will say that someone mentioned, it might have been Rosa. Rosa, you mentioned Zoom.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I suggest keeping the budget as simple as possible. We only have like 3 or 4 entries. We pay Zoom annually. We usually have 2 events a year, which we pay for. And we invite, Evite to send out invitations to everyone. So we pay for that. Once in a while, we use a local newspaper to advertise for membership, but about 5 items in our budget, and that's it. We keep it very simple. We don't want to create a job on top of what everyone else is doing. So the budget is very simple, and we make sure that there's funds there to cover the year.
Okay, great. Yeah, I know Dexter at my club. Oh, holiday party. Oh, well, it's the spring. We got to do something, different things. But yeah, your Zoom, your meeting space, if you have to pay, we meet at a high school, which is free, but during the summer months, we may have to pay for, a library, meeting room, or something like that. So all of those things are part of the budget. We mentioned collect dues, etc. So let's go here. Club meeting. Don't know if you're going to be doing a lot of financial reports at the meeting. I think generally people are going to want to know how much money is on hand, what activities can we do? So yes, you should prepare that, but the gist, as I mentioned, that executive committee, that's where you really want to get that to your officers, because they're going to be making the decisions. All right. Let's see. You guys, some are new. Have you had a transition meeting with the previous officer? And now I start with Dexter, since I know he's new. But any of the newbies?
Yes, I have.
Okay, great. Anybody else new, kind of like a transition meeting?
I'm sorry, 20 minutes remaining, 20 minutes remaining.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately for me, we will not have a transition meeting. The individual that served as secretary, excuse me, well, both positions, sort of, how can I say, did not perform in that role very well, and then just sort of disappeared. And so we did the remaining of our time without said role. But I've been doing a lot of research, and I was in the role of president, and this is a position that I knew we needed someone to really get in and start from pretty much bare bones to get things rolling in the right way. So no, and
Right.
we're pretty, and a lot of our things are being covered by the university. There are some things that like dues that I started collecting because that person was just here and there and kind of all over the place. And so I really had to start from bare bones. I don't know if you recall the interaction I had with you where we needed to form the 501. Do you remember that? I think
501c3.
we were, yes, we were having such a difficult time. And then you were able to send it at the same time that you sent it, and me continue to push that person. They also recovered the letter that was sent to them at the same time you were sending me the copy after a lot of research. So
I understand.
so it's like
Yes.
bare bones. I'll be starting from the ground up.
Sometimes that's not necessarily bad,
No, it's
because
not.
that's right, because now you get to make it right. But
I went to a transition meeting at Ameris Bank this past week. This is Elizabeth P.M. Lewis.
uh-huh.
And I got a debit card. I got a few checks. And
Okay.
I signed the papers at the bank. So that was the biggest thing so far.
Yes, definitely you want to have your name at the bank. That's important.
Oh, yeah.
And go ahead.
Well, I am going to, the president and myself are going probably next week. Our overall transition meeting is going to be happening Monday from 6 to 8, where we're all gonna, try to transition the positions. But her and myself are gonna go, and we're gonna open that account, and we'll probably request a debit card, Zelle, and Cash App. Those are the people use the most.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, it's definitely that transition with the outgoing, whatever was there, you want to move it over to your name and just understand what they did. And then once you do that, you can add your flair to it. I mentioned Clear Checkbook. There's other things out there, but the idea is, here's what was done. Now, new administration, here's what we're going to do. And you want to always try to improve it. And as a resource, again, I am here for you. I am the finance manager for the district. And so do we have the person that is going to, yes, Danielle? I think they're telling us that we need to.
We have to, return to our, we have to leave. Sorry.
Latrice, tell me, are you good with any bullet points or anything that you could present?
Yes, sir, I'm fine. Y'all gave me a lot of information. I got to tweak it down to the time that they allow.
Yeah, just be a minute or so, but do that. We're going to be screaming for you when you get up there, along with thousands of other people. So you do your thing. All right, folks, I enjoyed it. Again, reach out to me at any time.
Contact information.
I will answer questions.
Can you give us our contact information?
I will. Jennifer, how do I do that? Get it to everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. It looks like they started the recording for me. I'm going to just make sure.
Good to see you, Sadie.
Great. I am Toastmaster Wanda Harris Wilkes. I am your facilitator for today for Onward and Upward to DTM. My whole goal is to demystify this process and prepare you for achieving your DTM because you're probably closer than you actually think you are. Before we get started, can I ask someone to be a timer for me, please?
I'll do it. What's the timing sequence?
Let me see. So we have 40 minutes. So if you'll give me the red at, oh gosh, it's 11:48. When we have 5 minutes left. And when we have 10 minutes left, give me the yellow.
What's the total timing? I'm sorry, I didn't get that. I couldn't
40
know.
minutes.
Oh, it's 40 minutes. Okay.
It's 40 minutes, and the time started when they, I guess, when they put us in the room.
Okay.
So yeah. So let's just say
green at what time?
when we see the 5 minute, they'll flash a 5 minute mark. So let me know when we have green there, and I'll be stopping by the time we get to green, or a little bit before, so we can have some questions.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make it easy. And we need one other person who wants to be able to recap for us. I need somebody.
And do the recap for you.
Okay, thank you so much, Toastmaster. Is it Michael? Michelangelo?
Michelangelo.
Okay, great. All right. Let me share my screen. Make sure. Okay. So everybody sees my screen, right? Good.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. No.
All right.
No. Oh, there it comes.
All right. Cool beans. All right. DTM. You know, I'm going to share a quick little story because what I have learned over the years of being in Toastmaster has been about 15 years for me. When I joined, DTM was definitely anything I was considering. I had heard a lot about it. I had heard the initials. I understood that it meant achieving the highest education award that Toastmasters offered, Distinguished Toastmaster, but I was not interested. I wasn't interested. I only wanted to come into Toastmasters and work on me. I wanted to work on my communication. I wanted to be able to present better at my job. I had ideas of maybe being a big stage public speaker, but none of this involved DTM. However, the more I engaged in Toastmasters to improve myself, by natural order of progression, I started to achieve the tasks necessary to become a DTM. And when I finally looked up, I was only 2 clicks away. It made perfect sense to just go ahead and do the things and achieve my first DTM. Now this year, I expect to achieve my second DTM. Not on my plan, just by natural order of progression and participating, I'm there. So today's conversation is to help you do the same thing. It might not have been on your initial plan, but you're probably closer than you realize. So what does it take? This, I'm going to minimize my little view here. Okay, there we go. This is the path to becoming a Distinguished Toastmaster. These are all the things that you have to take care of and complete. And I know when you look at it, you might say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of work. But again, if you are working on you, if you are fulfilling the tasks and responsibilities to help you become better at the things you wanted to become better at, and you're utilizing your Toastmasters education to do that, guess what? These things here are not as overwhelming and not as difficult as you think that they are. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things. You got to complete learning paths in pathways. You have to do 2 of them. You got to serve at a club role and at a district role for a year. You have to coach or mentor. You have to be a club sponsor, or you can conduct a speechcraft or a youth leadership program, and you have a DTM project that you have to complete. Today's conversation, I'm going to walk through a little bit of this. I'm not going to do a whole bunch of reading, but I really want to lighten the mental load of becoming a distinguished Toastmaster and kind of give you a couple of tips that you might consider on how you can move through these tasks that you are responsible for. All right, let's talk about the learning path. Now, I'm going to ask the question, how many people in this session have already done one learning path? A number? How many people are, and you know what, I think I could bring up the chat. That way I could see. How many people are on their second one or have completed their second one? Okay. Great. Am I still sharing?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Because I'm working with two screens here. So here's the key about getting through a pathways path that I have found has worked for me. Number one, knock out the self-paced learning first. Each path or each level in the path is consistent of two things. You got to do a little self-paced learning, view a few slides, listen to a few videos. At best, I think it takes maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes tops. And then there's some work you have to do. And before you do that, I want to backtrack because I'm a firm believer that semantics is key in how you think about what it is that you need to do. Oftentimes when people look at their pathways and their levels, they think, oh God, I got to do a speech. No, don't think of it as I got to do a speech. Think of your pathways as I have to do a project and there's two things I have to do in this project. I got to watch a few little videos to learn about what it is I'm supposed to do. And then I got to do something in the project. Now, here's the thing about the videos and the self-paced learning. You can do this while you are having a snack. I like to do mine when I'm having a glass of wine. If I need a little bit more, I might have a martini. If you drink a beer, have a cup of coffee, have a cup of tea. You can do this in an environment where you're comfortable because it's self-paced and it's self-learning. Once you whiz through your self-paced for that particular project, then you go ahead and work on the actual project. It involves giving a conversation. And that's how I like to, excuse me, I have someone, why is this up? Okay, that's, let me go back. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. That's where I like to change up semantics again. I never think of what I'm doing as a speech. Everything I do is a conversation, just happens to be one to many. But in the conversations, to move through my path, one of the other tips I like to recommend is you make them relevant. You make them relevant to what's happening in your life, what's happening in your career within the next 30, 60, 90 days. And why do I say that? Because it's short term and it's something that your mind can grasp to. And it's less to try to figure out what should I talk about. A lot of people stumble when they're working on their pathways because they struggle with what should I talk about. But if it's relevant, if it's going on in the next 30, 60, or 90 days, that struggle is minimized or possibly mitigated. And then that allows you to move through your projects in your pathways and move through your levels. So you get through 1 through 5 and then move on to pathways number 2 or finish pathways number 2 and then can move on to whatever else responsibility to achieve for DTM. The other thing is you can deliver your projects at your club, at somebody else's club, or if you have a Toastmaster or two that is available at a different time outside of your clubs and they're willing to jump on a Zoom with you, you're live, they're live, they'll evaluate you. You can deliver your conversation to your project that way as well. We have done all of these things in our Toastmaster Club. I have done a number of them, and that has helped me move through my levels consistently. And that's one of the key things about that word, that road to DTM, is being consistent in working through your learning paths. Any questions? All righty.
One question, just a point of clarity. I heard you say that you could jump on the Zoom call with two other Toastmasters and make a presentation. That's a little bit new to me. I've often thought it had to be related to a public event and then have two Toastmasters evaluate. So thank you for sharing that opportunity.
You're welcome. So I'll elaborate a little further. I like to refer to this as the off cycle. The requirement is that you give a conversation, AKA speech, that you do it live, and you have at least one other Toastmaster evaluate you. Because we're allowed to do things virtually and have been since the pandemic, and that has now just been baked into the fabric of Toastmasters, all you need is one Toastmaster who can get on a Zoom call with you. You're live, they're live. You do your speech, conversation as I call it. They evaluate you. Then you let your VPE know that you've completed it. You update your pathways for that. And then boom, you have taken care of that. So yeah, there's another option for you to move through your pathways projects and complete them.
Can I just add something onto that really quick?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Courtney Shade, Augusta 326. For instance, one of our Toastmasters hosts a storytelling event once every month. And it's not the exact same thing as giving speeches. However, we have people from a bunch of different clubs and cities attend it. And because a lot of us are from Toastmasters, sometimes people will say, well, when you evaluate, I'd like this to count towards my club. Or even when you go and attend events in the community, we've had people give stories or give speeches at other events, and they will kind of turn it into, like she's saying, this off-cycle idea. It's a really incredible way to kind of branch out and not think of Toastmasters only as being in that meeting room once a week. And it is allowed, and I'm so glad you're bringing it up.
You are welcome. And that's one of the things, and we're working on moving, like I said, by natural order of progression to become better at what we do. A lot of times we're just locked into what can we do in our Toastmasters meetings. And I'm all about relevance and applying what you do in Toastmasters to the bigger world outside, which includes practicing your skill outside of your Toastmaster meeting. And more importantly, it puts you before another audience where you get feedback from people who don't see you week after week or every 2 weeks, and you get different types and different levels of feedback. And you can be evaluated by another Toastmaster who is not necessarily a Toastmaster in your club. The rule is a Toastmaster just has to evaluate you. Okay, cool beans. All right. All right. So serving as a club officer for 12 months. You can't escape it. But here's what I'm going to say about it. 1, you can do the same role for 12 full months. But maybe your life, your schedule says, I can't do maybe an intensive role for 12 months like president. So do what we do in the real world. Role share, job share. That's a real thing. You can do a Toastmaster role for 6 months. Now you kind of work this out with your club, but it is, again, allowable. You can do one role for 6 months and then maybe swap with another Toastmaster who's doing another role for the other 6 months. That way you both get a taste of 2 different roles. You don't have to do the same role for the entire year. Maybe one role that you choose is less intensive. And when I say less intensive, I'm going to say your workload might not be as much. The VPE has a lot to do, but maybe being the Sergeant of Arms has a lesser intensive responsibility, and you could swing that for 6 months and maybe be VPE for 6 months. So when you are looking at how do I satisfy my club officer commitment, keep in mind that you can do it in a 6-month chunk. And if you're in your first path, okay, let's just say you're working in your first path and not your second one at the moment. You can do 6 months for the first year and then 6 months for the next year. Now that might mean that you're going to be 2 years over getting your DTM, which is not a bad thing because I didn't do mine in the first year either. But you have some flexibility in serving in this officer role. So it doesn't have to be 6 consecutive months. You can do 6 months Maybe you need a break because you got other things going on, and pick up another 6 months in the next following year if you cannot do 12 consecutive months. Okay?
Hi,
So
this
there's
is
some,
Charlie May.
yeah.
I just wanted to, while you were on that officer role,
Mm-hmm.
to say that I suggest to the officers that are in those roles that have a lot of responsibilities to it, is to get a committee or at least have at least one person to back you up, so you're not struggling to get everything done, and you have some help so that you can do your full year, but just not alone.
Absolutely. That is, thank you, Charlie May. That is also a very good point.
I have quick question. Can I do the same role 12 months, or I need to have 6 months one role, another 6 months another role?
No, you can keep the same role for 12 months. So point in case. Every role that I have filled at the club officer, I've kept it for 12 months because I have been able to do that. And there are a number of clubs where when they elect their officers, it is for a 12-month term. There are a few clubs that may, for whatever reason, only do their officers every 6 months. But yeah, you can do the same role all the way through for 12 months. Absolutely. And I would say that's the norm. To Charlie May's point, that's pretty much the norm for a large number of clubs. I'm just exposing you to an option just in case your situation is a little different, and I don't want you to think that there's only one way to make this happen. Sound good? Okay. Oh, okay, there we go. Now, there's no way around this. District office, you have to do it for a complete term. July 1 to June 30th of the following year. On this slide, I just want to make you aware of the various roles that qualify for DTM credit. And because most people know that you have to be an area director or a division director for DTM credit, but there's a couple of other roles that Toastmasters International recognizes for DTM credit, and that's the finance manager role, the district finance manager, the district admin role, and the district public relations role. So to give you a little correlation, John Carey is your district finance manager, so his role counts toward DTM. LaQuisha is she was last year, the district administration manager, so that role counted for her toward DTM. And Corey Barksdale is the district public relations manager, and Jennifer Green had been for the past year. Their roles count toward DTM. And of course, the trio. And I don't really emphasize that because it's kind of how should I say, a pecking order for the trio, but these are all the roles that count toward DTM credit.
I have a question.
Yes.
About the admin manager position, because I was told that didn't really make you eligible for a DTM. I served as a admin manager 21-22 year, but I was told that it didn't, you either had to also serve as well as a area director as well to qualify for DTM.
So I'm glad you asked, because one of the things I make sure I do is I go to TI when I have questions. So there is, I'm going to skip ahead right quick. There is this form right here, the DTM award application form 8956. I want everybody to make note of this. I want everybody to download it and save it. But on this form, it tells you the roles that are applicable for DTM credit. And the district admin role is listed on this form for your, there's 2 pages, I'm only showing 1 page, for your district credit. And I also confirmed that with the Education Services for TI International headquarters last week. Now, I can't tell you when that might have changed, but it is now on this form here, and it is applicable.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to go back up, and I don't want to get caught with without time, so I'm going to move through. Now, there's this other qualification for DTM called the DTM project. And what this is a separate project that you have to complete, and it has to be activated by Toastmasters headquarters. I called directly, and the education services person activated for me, but you can send an email. And when they activate it, it will show up in your pathways as DTM project. Now, here's the good thing about it. You can do any project that you want to do, whether it's within Toastmasters or it's not in Toastmasters. It doesn't matter. The whole idea is that you create a project plan, you implement it, you execute it, and the DTM project that you'll actually see within Pathways, once it's unlocked and you have access to it, it includes self-learning. So there's some slides, maybe a little video, and then of course, like your regular pathway levels, there is a project checklist that gives you the guidelines for what you need to do the project. Now, if you happen to be working in a Pathways level that also has a high performance leadership project in their level 5, like I had one, I want to emphasize that the high performance leadership project is not the same as the DTM project. They are two separate things. Now, you cannot activate your DTM project until you have completed the first path and you are now working in your second path and you have completed level 3 of your second path. Once you've done that, so you're starting level 4 or you're in level 5, you can reach out to headquarters and ask them to activate your DTM project. Now, I'll give you an example on how I satisfied my DTM project. As division director last year, I had a lot of things I needed to do. I had to do TLIs, I had to do speech contests, I had to do that a couple times. So I just used one TLI, which I ran as a project for my high performance leadership project. And then I used my international and humorous speech contest, which I ran as a project and had a team and had all these details to satisfy my DTM project. It is easier if you are doing things within Toastmasters to satisfy your DTM project with those activities, but you are not limited to those things when you are working on your DTM project. But you do have to complete one and you do have to have it activated. And it is not the same as the high performance leadership project. Any questions? Okay. All right. Now there's a couple of, here's the key things. Let's get into the meat of what else you have to do. Now, you have to serve successfully as a club mentor or a club coach. The difference between the two, a new club mentor or club mentor is assigned to work with a newly chartered club, whereas a club coach is assigned to help rebuild a struggling club. So I'm going to talk about the club mentor first. The club mentor, your role starts once a new club has been chartered and completed their chartering ceremony. And then your job, just like mentoring in any other situation, is to provide guidance and insight to that new club for a minimum of 6 months to help them be successful. And you can guide them on any and everything related to Toastmasters clubs and what one needs to do, from building a club, from membership, from team, from the meetings, from officers, whatever they need, whatever advice, whatever guidance, whatever expertise you can share, that is what's expected of you as a mentor. Now, as I said, to satisfy the requirement, minimum 6 months. You can do it longer than that, but minimum 6 months for a club mentor. For a club coach, it's a little different. You are coming in as a savior. The club is struggling. They are near death, and you have been assigned to help breathe new life, to help them grow and develop. Now, minimum requirement, I would say it could be done in 6 months if you are really aggressive and if the club is really aggressive, because unlike a club mentor, a club coach has metrics that they have to meet. In order to be successful as a club coach, At the end of June 30th, if it happens to be this year, and again, if you're really aggressive and the club is aggressive, the club that you're coaching has to reach distinguished status at a minimum, and they have to have 20 or more members. And that's why I say it could take longer than 6 months. It could take the full Toastmaster year. If the club reaches these metrics, the coach club reaches these metrics, let's just say on June 1st of this upcoming year, 2025, then you as the club coach will get the credit by June 30th for this year. But if the club meets this in, say, August of 2025, you as the club coach will receive the credit for the following Toastmaster year, which would be 2025 to 2026, and that's where your DTM credit will go. So as a club coach, you want to be mindful that, yes, 6 months, you're pushing it, real aggression there. Sometimes, and many times I have seen it's taken a little longer. But those are the differences between being a club coach and a club mentor. But in both cases, there's training involved. We don't get to just be those things because we raise our hand. There is training that is taken care of and scheduled by our chairpersons. So we have the club retention chair who manages the training for the club coaches. We have our club extension chair who manages the training. I think it is for the club mentor. And then we have one other chair, I have it on another slide, who manages the training for the club sponsor that I'm going to talk about. The first training has already taken place. July was the 3rd week of July. The district club growth director, Floyd Neal, is making an exception. And for those who are interested in being a club coach or a club mentor or a club sponsor, which we're going to talk about next, you can review the slides. I have them. The next training is going to be later on this month, and we'll have to attend that. I will be attending training as well. And then there are about 3 more trainings. So I think there's about 5 targeted monthly. They're about an hour. The requirement is that as you are being assigned, you do need to continue those remaining trainings. Theoretically, they would like people to be trained before they're assigned, but we have a need, and our club growth director is making an exception to that so that you can continue to be trained as you are being assigned. So I talked about a little bit about how you get credit. To receive credit as a coach, again, you have those metrics. Once those metrics are achieved, then the club president of the club that you've coached will notify in writing via email Toastmasters headquarters that you were the coach, from this time, they have achieved their metrics, and once Toastmaster headquarters has it on file, then they will go ahead and acknowledge the credit for you. If you're a mentor or sponsor, we'll talk about sponsor in a minute, once your job is done, so as a sponsor, your name goes on the chartering documents. As a mentor, your name is submitted once the club is charted as the mentor. And then once you have completed those roles, then a confirmation email is sent to Toastmaster headquarters saying that your role has been fulfilled so that you can get credit. Now, club sponsor, how are you successful? Remember, the club mentor's job starts once the club is chartered. The club sponsor, who is assigned as the club is in the process of formation, and getting to become a chartered club. So you're involved from the moment you're assigned until the moment that club has actually been chartered and the charter presentation is completed. Once they're chartered, your job as a sponsor concludes and the job of the mentor now takes over. So what are you doing as a sponsor? Well, Any club, new club that's starting to form, they are trying to market and get members. So you're involved in helping them market to prospective members. They typically will do that in what we call demo meetings. So you're helping with those demo meetings that are Toastmaster meetings. You will help them with the numerous forms that they have to fill out as part of their chartering package. And then as the sponsor, you are responsible for working with them to plan the charter presentation and being part of that presentation. And those are your responsibilities in a nutshell as a club sponsor. But that's also why we have the training, because the training will go into, I'm gonna skip that slide. The training will go into detail about what your role and responsibility is. And yeah, there are links online at Toastmaster International where you can read about it. But the extra added value that you're going to get from training, you're not going to find in the digital version of the information online. You're going to get some interaction, some feedback, and some tips and some good help on how to best serve in your mentoring, sponsorship, or coaching role. And these are your chairs. And these are the upcoming trainings for coach, for sponsor, and for club mentor. And they're coming up this month. They're an hour. We're talking August 21st for sponsor and mentor training and August 22nd for club coach training. And if you're interested in being a sponsor, a mentor, or coach, and interested in training, at the end of this presentation, I have a link where you can fill out a quick form so I can collect all of this from everybody. And I also have a QR code. So I'm going to tell you, if you've got your phones, point your phones to the screen when I pull up the QR code so you can get that and then fill out that form. It's very quick and easy. But before we do that, I want to backtrack a little bit. Oh, that's the QR code. We'll come back to that.
DTM, Wanda?
Yes.
I'm not sure if we lost our timer, but I think I saw the 5-minute warning a couple minutes ago. So you may just have 2 to 3 left.
Okay, thank you. Really quick.
The timing sequence is up. You can't see that red?
No.
Oh.
Oh, there we go.
Maybe that's
okay. All right, so let me do this. I'm going to give you the QR code now. There you go. There's the link for the form, and here's a QR code. If you got your cameras, point them to your screen and complete this form so that I can know that you're interested in the training, and I can gather all of that information. Now, there's 2 other things that I didn't mention, but I will share this presentation. If you're not a sponsor, you can do a Speechcraft or youth leadership program. Both of those, okay, 58 seconds. I'm gonna do this really quick. Both of those are community programs. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. The Speechcraft is probably the easiest thing to do. It is a lead magnet. And if you want to learn more about that, I have a Facebook group for DTM Onward and Upward that I think you should join, because I'm going to talk more about that. And part of my role is to help provide ideas for you to achieve your DTM. And here is the Facebook group. It's called DTM Network. Okay, I know we have like 14 seconds. So thank you. I hope this was informational for you. I hope you got some good tips. And again, look forward, reach out to me if you got questions.